Alright, so, Chapter 12, Finding Material for Mind Building. To live is to move forward, but there can be no forward movement without new experience. Therefore, in all advancement, in all progress, in all attainment, in all achievement, and in the living of life itself, experience is indispensable. I don't know if you guys were with me in another one of these videos, but I'm pretty sure I had said it, that anything that I could tell you could only do so much. You have to learn through experience. Experience is the best teacher. Now, I'm just here presenting this knowledge because I am here doing God's work, which is helping those who are trying to find a better way to live to find it. And that is essentially why I am reading all of this to you guys. I'm doing this for you. I'm also doing this for me because I love helping people and I want this to be out there for you guys. But I'm also doing this for you because I know what it feels like to, I don't have a lot of things. I have everything I need. Because true prosperity is from within. I was never really a big materialistic person. I just recently bought me a new pair of pants after like 3 years. I still wear some of the same clothes I still wore in high school. I'm not that old. I'm just 21. And I spent most of my resources on things like this to help me get to the next level. And I feel the results happening. I know that they are happening. I spent the last 10 months in my NASM course, and I learned everything to be a fitness trainer, and I just got hired on yesterday at I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but it's actually the best LA Fitness in the whole regional of Riverside. And God places you exactly where you are qualified to be. If there's something that you want to do, you need to create that tunnel vision. You need to focus. If you take a class, you are in that class to learn what that class has to offer. It's great to make friends and all, it's great to meet people, but you're not there just to make friends. You're there to learn the material. And that's what I did, and look where it landed me. Not a lot of people have that focus, and then they're going to tell you something about it. But you know that you have that focus, and you know that you are doing it for a good cause, and that you are there to establish what you went there for, to learn what you went there for, because it is your future, and it is where you are starting in your career. If they don't make the time to learn the material correctly, then they're not going to be able to be the person that they're moving towards to be, if they're not putting all their focus and learning the necessary stuff. So with that being said, like I'm saying, I'm here presenting this material to you because I personally realized what it's done for me, and I had graduated the top of my class. I didn't miss a single day. I got the most awards. In fact, I'm going to show you. Just give me a minute. I gotta find it. Alright, here it is. And also, I'd gotten 2 pins, but I don't know where they're at right now. They probably stole my backpack. But I got, and some of the awards he didn't give out. We didn't go over there were like 2 mods that he didn't give out rewards for because we didn't do a Student of the Month ceremony. Hold on, not all of them are here, but here's some of them that I had gotten. It's only a little bit. And here's my certificate. I passed my NASM test my first try. I got my training license and everything. And like I said, yesterday was my first day. You got to stay in the process. We went over that in this book, that too many people jump from one thing to the next because they see a successful person in it. And then they start to complain because they're not seeing results fast enough. It doesn't happen in one night. It doesn't happen in 2 months. It took me about 10 months to prepare for this. I was preparing for this for 10 months. You have to build it. It takes time. You have to give it energy. You have to build it. Now, I'm finally getting started with it. Landed me in the top LA Fitness in the whole region of Riverside. The trainers there are the best trainers in all the LA Fitnesses in Riverside. God places you exactly where you are qualified to be. So, if you want to be with the best, you literally have to become the best. And it starts in here. It starts with the knowledge. It starts with reading the material and staying focused and learning the things you need to learn. Okay, so let's move on. Experience being necessary to the promotion of the advancement as well as to the increase of the value of the welfare of life. It becomes necessarily a permanent and continuous cause in the world of every individual, and as like causes produces like effects, both in quality and in quantity. Experience should be sought and selected with the greatest possible care. So basically that is essentially saying what I had just explained to you and what I had just gone through. Like causes produces like effects. You are the cause for the experiences that you have. You are the person who is creating the environment that is around you. Your environment is a direct reflection of who you are as a person inside. All the things I learned were the causes. All the knowledge that I had gained were the causes. And where it placed me were the effects. And the same thing is happening with you right now. Okay. It is also highly important that we seek an abundance of experience, because so long as the cause has quality, it cannot be too extensive in quantity. Experience is the material from which character and mentality are constructed. Experience is the material from which character and mentality are constructed. Basically meaning what you are experiencing outside of you is the material of what your character and your mentality has produced. Therefore, richer and more abundant our experience, the stronger and more perfect will our character and mentality become. Everything has its purpose, and the real purpose of experience is to awaken new forces, new states, new phases of consciousness, and to originate new actions in the various parts of being. To unfold and bring forth what is latent in the being of man is the principal object of experience. Excuse me. I just ate my fish and my rice and my lettuce, and I just had my protein shake. Okay. Where were we? Okay. To unfold and bring forth what is latent in the being of man is the principal object of experience. And it is well to remember that without experience no latent quality or power can ever be aroused and expressed. The power of experience to bring forth what is latent and to originate the new gives cause to enjoyment and happiness, as well as progress. And since experience is the only cause of enjoyment, it follows that what the enjoyment is to be in life of any individual will depend directly upon what experience that individual will select. The average mind makes no effort to select experience wisely, therefore fails to promote the real purpose of experience. And failing in this, he also fails to awaken and develop those things in himself that can produce the most desirable of all experience. That is, the consciousness of a perpetual increase of all that has real worth in life. The more experience the better, provided it is rich, constructive, and wholesome. Though no person should seek experience for the mere sake of passing through experience. The belief that experience itself builds life is not true, nor is there any truth in the doctrine that all kinds of experience, good and otherwise, are necessary to the full development of life. It is only a certain kind of experience that can add to the welfare of life and promote the purpose of life. Therefore, To understand the psychology of experience and how experience is connected with the workings of mind is the matter of exceptional importance. Now, what he's saying here, that what you experience on the outside doesn't really matter as to what you are experiencing on the inside, because it is the inside that creates the outside. Like you're saying, you are exactly where you are because of who you are as a person. So, your complete environment is a reflection of you on the inside, so it starts on the inside. You must be that person on the inside first, and have the courage to express that person, because that is who you really are. Your environment and your surroundings will start, your experiences will start to surround you in that way. Now, when we say that experience is the best teacher, because who you are, like we're saying, who you are as a person is what you are experiencing in the outside. So, personal experience will determine who you are as a person, your character. Okay? So, let's keep going. The daily purpose of each individual should be to seek the richest experience possible, in order that the best material possible may be provided in the building of himself. To this end, he should place himself in daily contact with the best that is moving in the world, and the more of this, the better. Such a practice will develop the mind, perfect the character, refine and repolish the personality, and increase perpetually the health and the wholeness of the body. It will also tend directly towards the promotion of a long and happy life. The mind should be wide awake to everything in its sphere of existence that can give expression to superior action, and seek to gain the richest possible experience by coming in contact with that action. To place oneself in mental contact with the best that is in life, the best that is in action in the world, is to originate similar actions within one's own mentality. It all starts in our minds. These will arouse the superior forces that are latent in the deeper mentality, and before long a superior mental life will have been evolved. The more experience that the mind can gain by coming in contact with the best things that are alive in the world, the larger, the broader, and the more perfect will the mind become. It is therefore evident that the recluse must necessarily have a small mind, whether he lives in the world or apart from the world. To live a life of seclusion is to eliminate experience to the smallest degree possible, and therefore causes the mind to become so small that only a mere fraction of its power and intellect can be in conscious action. In consequence, such a person can never be his best in anything, not even a single isolated talent, nor can his ideas as a whole have any practical value, being based wholly upon one-sided opinions. In this connection, it is most important to understand that the philosophy of the hermit is useless in practical life, because he's not putting all of his thoughts into action. And the same is true of moral or physical views as formulated by those who live in seclusion. And for those of you who don't know what seclusion is, basically isolated, for those that don't go out into the world, for those that don't, experience this whole world that we all share together, because we all have our own world within. That is our personality, that is our character, that is who we are as a person. But in the external world, we all share the same world. We're all different people. There's nothing wrong with anyone, and there's nothing weird about anybody. Yes, with that being said, let's keep going. Okay. Such ideas may look well in theory, and they may be accepted by millions of people, but nothing outside of mere intellectual satisfaction will be gained. Intellectual satisfaction, however, when not directly associated with physical, mental, and moral progress, is detrimental. If you're not putting those theories, those thoughts, those things that you have inside of you in actions, it's only going to hurt you. It's detrimental on your part. There's actually a saying in the Bible. I can't remember who it's from. I want to say it's from 1 Corinthians, but I don't want to be too sure. But he says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you will bring forth will save you. But if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. I actually think it's Ephesians. Look it up. We'll we'll actually look it up for you guys right now. Since we're here sharing this information, we're here teaching, we are going to be the ones that look it up for you and get that going. So, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. I usually like to just speak it into the phone because it takes forever to type it. Okay, it's actually from the Gospel of Thomas. Now let's see where exactly it is in the Gospel. There's a certain page, or nope, it just says the Gospel of Thomas. Okay, so whatever you have inside of you, you need to let it out. Steve Jobs, a quote by him, says, "Don't be tracked by dogma, which is the result of other people's thinkings." There's another one that Will Smith says in The Pursuit of Happiness, people don't want to do something themselves, so they're going to tell you that you can't do it. But you could do anything. Literally. Okay. Where were we? Okay, so I'm going to read this sentence again, and then we'll continue on from there. Intellectual satisfaction, however, when not directly associated with physical, mental, and moral progress, is detrimental. The reason being that it produces a phase of mental contentment and culminates in mental inactivity. The only intellectual satisfaction that is normal and that can be beneficial is that satisfaction which comes from the consciousness of continuous advancement. Any other satisfaction means mental inaction, and mental inaction leads to death invariably, not only in the intellectual side, but also in body, mind, and character. Those who live in the world and who are daily required to meet the problems of the world should seek guidance and instruction when necessary only from those superior minds that have had experience in the world. Those who live apart from the world do not appreciate the conditions that exist in the world. They have not been awakened to the real nature of those conditions. Therefore, the solution that they may offer for the problem which may arise from such conditions can be of no practical value. He alone who really knows who has had experience. Though experience is not the whole of knowledge, it is only a small part, but that part is indispensable. Minds that live only for themselves or for a selected few only will also become narrow in mentality and dwarfed in character. Such living invariably results in retrogression because too many of the elements of life, both physical and metaphysical, are compelled through the lack of experience to remain inactive. And also, I want to throw this in there before we move on. Physics. Physics explains how the whole external part of our environment works. Like with gravity, we're all affected by this gravity. That's all on the physical side. It's God's natural laws, God's physical laws. And then metaphysics is God's mental laws, how the mind works, how the mind affects what is going on, what's happening inside of you that produces whatever your character, you as a person is an exact reflection of what is happening inside of you. So that constitutes metaphysics. And a lot of people say that metaphysics is, like superstition. There's no such thing as superstition. Superstition is based only a result of fear. Everything is governed by law. That is how life works. Okay. Both physical and metaphysical are compelled through the lack of experience and remain inactive. The entire mentality and the entire personality should be active, and to promote such activity, the entire individual life should be entirely filled with rich, wholesome, and intellectual experience. In brief, we should live while we live and not simply exist. The lives of young people in particular should be well provided with an abundance of wholesome amusements and a very I got the hiccups for a second. I'm sorry. It's funny, yeah, that happens in like every video. The lives of young people in particular should be well provided with an abundance of wholesome amusements and of every imaginable variety. Though this practice should not cease with the coming of the 30s, we should all enjoy this life to the fullest extent so long as we remain in this life, though not simply because it is the privilege of us all to enjoy every moment to the fullest extent, but also because there are a few things that are more conducive and wholesome experience than of the wholesome enjoyment. Okay. We gradually grow into the likeness of that which we enjoy. An abundance of wholesome amusement, therefore, will invariably produce a wholesome nature. And by enjoying the greatest possible number of the best things, we shall naturally and steadily develop the best that is latent within us. The world needs who you are as a person. Okay. Every experience that we pass through awakens something within us that was not active before, and this something will in turn impress upon the subconscious the nature of the thought that was created during the experience. In fact, the nature of the experience will determine what is to be awakened in the conscious mind and what is to be impressed upon the subconscious. Wow. Like I was saying earlier, there's no such thing as a weird person. There's no such thing as somebody who's different. We are all who we are because of what we had gone through. The things we had gone through impressed upon us to think a certain way. And once we start to think a certain way, those thoughts start to be impressed back upon us. That becomes a change of character. And since subconscious impressions determine the character, the mentality, and the personal nature of man, it is of the highest importance that only such experiences be selected as are rich, constructive, and wholesome. What is awakened in the mind of man is awakened by experience alone. For this reason, no change in the mind can take place unless preceded by some experience, whether that experience be tangible or imaginary. And what is awakened in the mind of man determines first what he is to think, and second is what he is to do and to be. These facts prove conclusively that experience is the material from which character and mentality are constructed, and therefore experience should receive the most thorough consideration during every period of life, and especially during the first 24 years of personal existence. The experience that a person passes through during this early period will determine to a very great extent what is to be accomplished in later years. The reason being that the early tendencies are the strongest as a rule, but be they good or otherwise. We are not inferring, however, that man cannot change his nature, his character, his mentality, his habits, his desires, or his tendencies at any time, because he can. But time and energy can be put to better use in later life than to that of overcoming the results of mistakes that could have been avoided in the proper mental tendencies had been produced early in life. We should take advantage of favorable periods when we have them, and we should create such periods when we do not have them. This we can do, but when they come of themselves, as they do in the early years of personal existence, everything possible should be done to make these periods become a permanent power in our favor. There is no better time than now to become the person which you always wanted to be. You're young. You have a life to catch. There's so much time on your hands. Use it for good. Use it to build yourself. Use it to learn. Use it to educate yourself. Use it to better yourself as a person so you can go out and give back to the world what the world has helped given you. We are all here for each other. To permit the young mind or any mind to pass through experiences that are unwholesome or adverse is to cause tendencies to be produced that will work against him all his life. That is, if those tendencies are not removed later on, and they usually are not. But to limit the supply of experience at this period or at any period is equally detrimental. That person who enters the 20s in his consciousness of an abundance of rich experience is prepared for his career, and if he has a fair degree of ability, he will succeed from the very beginning. He is ripe, so to speak, for his work. Basically, like I was saying earlier, you are placed exactly where you belong. So if you want to be somewhere where they have the best of whatever it is you want to go, you have to take the time to become your best. That person who enters the... Okay, I just read that. His mind has found normal action in nearly all of its phases, and he will make but few mistakes of any consequence. It is totally different, however, with that person who has entered the 20s in what may be called the green state. Even though his mind may be highly active, he will accomplish but little, because being as yet unconscious of his real nature, his real capacity, and his true state of normal action, he will misdirect most of his energies, and they will be used up before his success can begin. The mind that lacks experience does not know its own personal power, its own possibilities, its own desires, nor its own natural sphere of action. It has not found its bearings, and even though it may have remarkable ability, it will invariably misplace that ability, and will in consequence fail utterly where lesser minds, with an abundance of wholesome experience to begin with, have nearly everything their own way. It is therefore evident that the practice still prevalent in thousands of homes of compelling young people to be ignorant of what is going on in the world is most detrimental to the future welfare of those people. Such a practice has caused many a young mind to be a complete failure until he was 35 or more, though if he had received an abundance of wholesome experience early in life, he could easily have entered into real success more than 10 years before. It's funny, everything that he just said in this paragraph. The world is the way it is because of the people. The people aren't, they're not taking the initiative to make the most of themselves, and the people that are in the 2%. All of this is knowledge that Bill Gates knew, that Steve Jobs knew, that Henry Ford knew, that Andrew Carnegie, Emerson, all those successful people, they knew all this stuff, and they put it into practice, and look where it had got them. That is essentially what we are here to share with you, because I've been using this stuff, and look where it placed me with where I want to go. That is why I'm here to share it with you, because only when this world changes as a whole, or only when the people change, the world will change as a whole. It's a collective consciousness. Okay. An abundance of rich experience secured early in life will awaken the best that is in the person. He will thus become acquainted with himself and will know what to do with himself. He will also know what to do with others and how to apply himself in the outer world. That's what we're here to do. However, we must remember in this connection that it is not necessary for anyone to do wrong or to mix with the wrongs of the world in order to gain experience. The fact is that such experience is not experience, simply a misuse of mind, thought, and action. The proper kind of experience is just as necessary to the young mind as the proper kind of education, and parents should in no way eliminate the opportunities of their children to gain experience of value and worth. But they should not let their children loose, so to speak, with paying no attention to the kind of experience that child seeks to enjoy. To pass through experience that is neither rich nor wholesome is to cause tendencies, desires, habits, and traits to be formed that are adverse to everything worldwide that the person may try to do. The results of such experience will have to be removed before real living and real achievement can begin. And this message is to all the younger folks that are watching this. Listen to your parents. Your parents love you. We were born in a different time and we have gone through different things, but at the same time we didn't go through different things. Your parents know what's up. They wouldn't steer you in the wrong direction. They love you. Do things for them. They're the reasons why you had what you had growing up. They're the reasons why you had a roof over your head. They're the reasons why you have dishes to eat on. They're the reasons why you have food in the fridge. They're the reason why you have a refrigerator. Do your part to help them. Wash the dishes you use. Clean your room. Keep your room clean. Wash your own clothes. Your parents are not supposed to do everything for you. They can only do so much with their time. They only have so much energy they could do while they are at their age. Because as you get older, so are they, and they can't take care of you the rest of your life. sooner or later you are going to need to take the initiative and get your life in order, because the roles are going to switch. The roles are going to switch, and one day you're going to be the one that needs to take care of them. And you need to have that position to be able to do that for them. That's what life is. Okay. Where am I? Okay. We're right here. The results of such experience will have to be removed before real living and real achievement can begin. All young minds should be given the freedom to enjoy every imaginable form of enjoyment that can be found, provided such enjoyments are wholesome. And here we should remember that those young people who stay at home ignorant of the world are not any better in character than those who go out and enjoy the best that is living and moving in the world. And as to mental power, they are much weaker than those who have come in contact with the movements of life and thoughts in all of its phases. Moral purity does not come from keeping the mind in a state of inaction, nor does goodness come from the absence of desire. The best way to make the mind pure and the character strong is to give the person so much rich and wholesome experience that he will not care for that which is inferior or perverted. Remember, inferior, look at it as the lesser view of things, because I don't like that word. That word doesn't sound good to me. So, when you hear inferior, think of the lesser part of things. And when you hear superior, think of the positive side. The negative and the positive. In other words, let me read that sentence again. The best way to make the mind pure and the character strong is to give the person so much rich and wholesome experience that he will not care for what is negative or perverted. Now that sounds pretty good, huh? No normal mind will care for the lesser after he has gained possession of the greater. And those minds that are not normal do not need ethics. They need a physician. An abundance of the wholesome and most interesting enjoyment may be found everywhere, anywhere, and the supply will increase with the demand. Well, I want to go back to that. And those minds that are not normal do not need ethics. They need a physician. They just need somebody to help them get their thoughts in order, to understand themselves. And what they need mostly is education. So they don't even need that physician. It's all a bunch of nonsense. All they need is education about themselves. Yeah, it's good to vent with somebody. Well, I guess a physician would be good, because some people don't really aren't in the environment where others are willing to listen to them, because they're also too busy thinking about what they're going through. So if you find a support, somebody who you could talk to and who is willing to listen and understand with you, because we all need that. Everybody needs that. An abundance of wholesome and most interesting enjoyment may be found anywhere, and the supply will increase with the demand. It is possible for any person to go out and come in contact with the world without ever going wrong, and the experience is invaluable, not only in a practical way, but also in a way that touches the very cause of everything that has worth in the being of man. The more constructive experience that a person passes through, the larger will the mind become, and the more substantial will everything become that is active in his nature. An abundance of rich experience will invariably be followed by a larger subconscious life, and this will add remarkably to the power and capacity of every talent and faculty. Such experience will also tend to give every force in the system the proper direction, and thus prevent the waste of energy. The more experience we seek, the better, provided that experience is sought for the purpose of awakening the larger and the better that is latent within us. And since experience in some form is absolutely necessary to the promotion of this awakening, the art of securing experience becomes a fine art. In fact, one of the finest and most important in the world. Every experience produces a subjective impression, and when a number of such impressions of the highest order are secured, there is not only a feeling of completeness and satisfaction that is beyond price, but the entire individuality gains a marked degree of superiority and worth. An abundance of rich experience will also give a substantial foundation to the mind, a foundation that no circumstance, however trying, will be able to disturb. And so long as the foundation of the mind is secure, the various elements and forces of the system will be able to perform their functions well, no matter what temporary conditions may be. One of the greatest secrets of success in any undertaking or in any vocation in life is found in the possession of the mental foundation so strong and so substantial that it is never disturbed under any circumstance. And as the right kind of experience will tend to build such mental foundation, we realize that the extreme value of the subject under consideration. To feel that you have received your share of the good things that have come your way is one of the rare joys of life. I need to slow down, don't I? And this feeling comes invariably from the subjective memory of rich and abundant experience. This feeling produces the consciousness of mental wealth, and without it, life is not complete. But with it, any person can pass through physical poverty and not feel poor in the least, while the mind that has had little or no experience is poverty-stricken, no matter how extensive external possessions may be. Such a mind is practically empty. It finds no satisfaction in life and is incapable of turning its energies into constructive action. In brief, it flows with the stream and is almost completely in the hands of fate. Now it's very interesting because there is something I would like to share. The first thing that should prosper in you is a life inside of you, not the life outside of you. You know, your immediate things, your possessions, should be the results of what has come to you from within. You know, work on your character, work on you as a person. Everything else will follow. It's like Jesus had said, you know, the kingdom of heaven, first search for this kingdom, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. First search for this kingdom, and all things will be added unto you. You know, there's a world within you. There's a world within, a world of thoughts, moods, and feelings. And whatever is happening in this world, you are expressing in the external world. So if you could prosper in this internal world first, invariably everything external will be a direct reflection of that. That is why you see people that have all those things, you know, those millionaires. Yeah, some of them are happy, but a lot of them aren't happy. You know, like they have all this stuff, but they're not happy because they're not internally prospered. You know, so that being said, find your passion, find what you're good at, find what you want to do, and go for it. Because when you're doing what you love to do, you're not going to want to take a day off of work. You're not going to want to, you wouldn't even care about the money because the money will come. You're going to be too busy doing what you love to do, and all of that will be added onto you, because when you're doing what you love to do, you're going to be doing it better than anyone else. You're going to be doing it, and you're not going to want to take a break from it. There is a book, it's called The Instant Millionaire. I'll read that one to you as well, and he talks about that. You know, finding your goal, finding your passion, pursuing it, doing what you love to do, and all those things will be added unto you. Okay. It gives new points of view and enlarges the mental world. Instead of crushing individuality as hardships... Hold on. I kind of skipped a little bit. I ended with this paragraph. Experience, however, in the true sense, is not synonymous with hardship. And to pass through trials and tribulations does not necessarily mean to gain experience. Occasionally it does, but as a rule it does not. The real experience awakens new life. It gives new points of view and enlarges the mental world. Instead of crushing individuality as hardships... I'm sorry. Those hiccups. I'm like trying to fight to keep them down. It gives new points of view and enlarges the mental world. Instead of crushing individuality as hardships, sometimes it strengthens individuality and makes the man more powerful both in mind and character than ever before. To enjoy real experience, therefore, is not simply to pass through certain mental or physical conditions, but it is to gain something of permanent value while passing through those conditions. Experience of this kind may sometimes be gained through mistakes, that is, when the mistake causes the mind to seek the other way. There is no such thing as failure. Yeah, you may make a mistake and you may fall and you may land flat on your face, but you are successfully finding a way that it didn't work. Remember Edison? He failed 10,000 times at the light bulb and he got up one more time again, and finally he made the light bulb, and that ended up changing the world. There's no such thing as failure. You're going to fail your way to success. Okay. Otherwise, the mistake does not produce experience of value, and nothing is gained. However, it is not necessary to make mistakes or to go wrong in order to gain valuable experience. Neither is hardship, pain, nor adversity necessary to growth, progress, and advancement. The most valuable experience comes not through mistakes, but through the mind's sympathetic contact with the best that is alive in the world. Such experiences, however, may not be had for nothing, but to employ a small percentage of one's earnings in procuring such experiences is to make a most excellent investment. The bank of rich and wholesome experience pays a very large interest. It will be profitable, therefore, for everybody to deposit as much as can be spared every week in this great bank. To keep in constant touch with the best that is living and moving in the world will give new ideas, new mental life, greater ambition, greater mental power, increased ability and capacity, and will in consequence increase the earning capacity of that individual. It will also increase the joy of living and make every individual life more thoroughly worthwhile. The good things in the world, however, should not be sought for mere pastime. They should invariably be sought for the purpose of gaining conscious possession of the richness that they may contain. This will increase immeasurably the enjoyment of the experience, and will cause the experience to add directly to the power, the quality, the worth, and the value of life. It will make living more and more worthwhile, and nothing is worth more than the living of life that you deserve. And that will be the end of chapter 12. That one was pretty long, and if you made it to the end of this video with me, I want to salute you, and I want to thank you for taking the time, your time out of your day to learn this material with me. And, like I said, I'm experiencing personally what it has done for me, finally, and I hope you guys are going to take the time and put it into practice for yourself to see and how it could work for you too, and how much power you really do have as a person. Remember the power of you. It's a motivational video you hear, and also by far my favorite book, You by Charles F. Hannell. This book is amazing, and I was going to read it to you after mental chemistry, but I decided, since it's pretty much like the ultimate book of knowledge that I have, I'm going to save it for the last. So, it's the power of you. You have to start somewhere, and at first it starts with understanding how your mind works. Before you could really understand whatever it is in here, you have to first be able to understand what is in here. So, that being said, if you like my video, please share it, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side of the galaxy. Take care.